God, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Antikoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Nama Acharya Hari Das Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Garidhar Shivsadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Kalashanji Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Maya Yamuna Maya Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Hari Nam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Brihat Mridanga Transcendental Book Distribution Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaura Pramanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Madhava Kunja Bihari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Thank you. Yamunatira Kanachari Yamunatira Kanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Ajay, can you close that door? Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada A laptop. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam. We'll start with an invocation mantra to begin our class. You can repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're going to read the next two verses all together. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashta prayesha bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyutama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Krishna. Wow. There are a lot of tabs open. All good. Let's see. So today we're going to be reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 13th chapter. We're starting on text 20. Right, so the context here, we're kind of in the middle of a story. And we've been studying this story for like maybe a month now, right? Month. So, so this is the story of Bharat. Um, Bharat was a great king, and he, yeah, there's a whole long story. I'll just briefly kind of retell where we are, for maybe some people here who might be new. But Bharat Maharaj was pretty much the emperor of the world. And in those days, after the emperor would retire, he would go into the forest. He would meditate and he would try to, attain enlightenment. He would try to attain pure love of God. So Maharaj Bharat, he finishes his rule of the kingdom and he goes into the forest, becomes attached to a deer, and it's described in our scriptures that wherever our mind is attached to, that is where we go. If we're attached to, money, if we're attached to, the opposite sex, or we're attached to this or that, it means that we can't be attached to God in a sense, because, your heart is already sold somewhere else. So he sold his heart to this deer unintentionally. He didn't even realize it, but it caused him to take a birth as a deer, and then in that birth as a deer, he was able to kind of repent for his actions. And in the next life, he said, I'm not going to mess up this time. I'm not messing around anymore. This life, I'm going back to Godhead. So he, in this life, he's kind of we call avadut. Avadut is someone who, they don't care about society anymore. They don't care about any social obligations, any social requirements, even in the system of Varnashram. So his name is now Jad Bharat. And so then Jad Bharat, he's playing the role of a dumb man, of a illiterate, whatever you would call it, man. And he comes across this king named Rahugana. And Rahugana doesn't understand his position, and he causes an offense towards Jad Bharat, thinking that, oh, I'm so much better than this person who doesn't know anything, this person who's, uneducated, unintelligent. And now we're coming to the end of Jad Bharat's teachings. Jad Bharat wanted to teach this king, actually, we're not the body. Actually, you shouldn't judge me based off of my body, you based off of your body. You may think that you're the king, but that's a temporary position. At the end of your life, you will no longer be the king. And so what is the use of judging each other based on these temporary designations? So text 20. So this is Jad Bharat, the saint, pretending to be illiterate but no longer, and he's concluding his instructions to the king.
My dear King Rahugana, you are also a victim of external energy, being situated on the path of attraction to material pleasures. So that you may become an equal friend to all living entities, I now advise you to give up your kingly position and the rod by which you punish criminals. Give up attraction to the sense objects and take up the sword of knowledge sharpened by devotional service. Then you will be able to cut the hard knot of illusionary energy and cross to the other side of the ocean of nescience.
Okay, so this is the last teaching that he has. And it's interesting, he says, you are also a victim of the external energy. So Jad Bharat is acknowledging that, all of us are, fighting with illusion in our day-to-day lives. And Bharat had his own fight with illusion, and that's why he's able to instruct now. So give up your position as, the king, perhaps not externally, but internally, don't identify with that anymore. Often we have our duties to perform. As parents, we have our duties as teachers, we have our duties as, this employee or that boss. And externally, we may still continue that duty. But internally, we understand that is not who we are in the ultimate sense. So we give that up. And then with the sword of knowledge of the soul, we can no longer be attached to the illusory things of this world. Next text, please.
King Rahugana said, "The birth as a human being is the best of all. Even birth among the demigods and the heavenly planet is not as glorious as birth as a human being on this earth. What is the use of the exalted position of a demigod and the heavenly planets due to the profuse material comfort? There is no possibility of association with devotees."
All right, so we'll touch back on this topic a little later. Next text.
It is not at all wonderful that simply by being covered by the dust of your lotus feet, one immediately attains the platform of pure devotional service to a dokshaja, which is not available even to the great demigods like Brahma. By associating with you just for a moment, I am now freed from all argument, false prestige, and lack of discrimination, which are the roots of entanglement in the material world. Now I am free from all these problems.
Right, and then we're going to read the Sanskrit for this text. Translation afterwards. This is text 23. Namo Mahadbhyo Stu Namah Shishubhyo Namo Yuvabhyo Nama Avatubhya Ye Brahmanagam Avadhuta Lingash Charanti Tebhya Shivamastu Namo Mahadbhyo Stu Namah Shishubhyo Namo Yuvabhyo Nama Avatubhya Ye Brahmanagam Avadhuta Lingash Charanti Tebhya Shivamastu Please chant. Namo Mahadbhyo Stu Namah Shishubhyo Brahmanagam Avadhuta Lingash Namo Yuvabhyo Nama Avatubhya Ye Brahmanagam Avadhuta Lingash Charanti Tebhya Shivamastu Kunti. Namo Mahadbhyo Stu Namah Shishubhyo Namo Yuvabhyo Nama Brahmanagam Avadhuta Lingash All right, synonyms all together. Nama, all obeisances. Mahadbhya, unto the great personalities. Astu, let there be. Namaha, my obeisances. Shishubhya, unto those great personalities who appear as boys. Nama, respectful obeisances. Yuvabhya, unto those who appear as young men. Nama, respectful obeisances. At those who appear as children. Yea, all those who come, earth. Avaduta linga, who remain hidden in different bodily guises. Kanti, they traverse. There be all good fortune. Again, into the royal dynasty. Justin, you want to read?
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the great personalities, whether they walk on the earth's surface as children, young boys, avadutas, or great brahmanas. Even if they are hidden under different guises, I offer my respects to all of them. By their mercy, may there be good fortune in the royal dynasties that are always defending them.
Okay, Dustin, real quick, what did Maharaj Rahugana just say? You can summarize it in one sentence.
He's offering his respectful obeisances.
Two.
People.
All right, shake it off, guys. Okay, so we'll get into the purport. I'm just trying to do hey, let's get alive, people. Check. All right, purport. I'll just read the purport. King Rahugana was very repentant because he had forced Jadbharat to carry his palanquin. He therefore began offering prayers to all kinds of brahmanas and self-realized persons, even though they might be playing like children or hiding in some guises. The 4 Kumaras walked everywhere in the guise of 5-year-old boys, and similarly there are many brahmanas, knowers of Brahman, who traverse the globe either as young men, children, or avaduts. Being puffed up due to their position, the royal dynasties generally offend these great personalities. Therefore, King Rahugana began to offer his respectful obeisances unto them, so that the offensive royal dynasties might not glide down into a hellish condition. If one offends a great personality, the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not excuse one, although the great personalities themselves might not take offense. Maharaj Ambarish was offended by Durvasa, who even approached Lord Vishnu for pardon. Lord Vishnu would not grant him pardon. Therefore, he had to fall down at the lotus feet of Maharaj Ambarish. Even though Maharaj Ambarish was a Kshatriya Grahastha, one should be very careful not to offend the lotus feet of Vaishnavas and Brahmanas. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so the past few, we've had a lot of classes about offending devotees and about making offenses the past few weeks, because this is a very important theme. And so in the previous texts, it talked about this human form of life. We understand that there's different planetary systems in our universe which we can live on, depending on our karma. So if we do pious activities, we'll end up in a higher situation materially. Just like if you look here in East Dallas, you walk 2 blocks down and it's like super nice houses one direction, 2 blocks a different direction, and it's like big pit bulls and these like scary fences with barbed wire and falling apart houses. So that's how kind of the Earth planet is that we see both heavenly and hell in the same dimension, in a sense. Versus if we have the karma, there's planets above which are more opulent, which are more, extravagant, more enjoyable. And then there's planets below, which in a gradation get more hellish. So, Maharaj Rahugana, he's glorifying the human birth. So you might say, what's so wonderful about being a human? What do you guys think is so wonderful about being a human? Mother Kunti.
The ability to discern,
The ability to discern. What does that mean?
to understand the difference between people, situations, philosophies, attitudes, to understand the goodness, the passion, or the ignorance of each one.
Okay.
Discernment.
All right. Thank
Dogs
you.
don't sit on the street corners asking what is the goal of life.
Okay, yeah. So we have this ability for higher knowledge. Let's take Jackson.
And playing off of that point of discernment, the journey into the heart, from the mind into the heart, and instead of discerning from that place of mind and kind of coming into that deeper spiritual essence, it just it's rich and human and messy and so unfathomable.
Okay, all right. We'll take Tammy. She has a mic. You can just put that mic on that table.
Hello?
Yeah.
The ability to serve Krishna and his devotees.
The ability to serve Krishna and his devotees. Okay. Nandabraj. And then maybe Dustin, you can also, if you know what is special about being a human. Because we're all humans. We can all share something.
I was thinking that human life is kind of in the middle. And so it makes it nice because you don't get too comfortable, but yet you're not having such a hard time. So life has given us both happiness and distress so we can, practice Krishna consciousness, but that we can be reminded that this isn't the place for us. And so we get, some trouble push us.
Okay. And then just last.
The question was,
What's good about being a human?
what's good about being a human? Well, the human birth is the only birth that can attain God realization.
Okay, Jai. So, all right, we're going to kind of focus in on this. There's, who knows how many species of life there are? Tammy? You can just shout it out. 8,400,000 species of life. So that's all the different bodies that our soul could come into. And there's a gradation to reach the human form of life, which takes a very long time. And we are talking the human form of life. It has suffering and it has pleasure, both in the same field. We're able to think higher questions and stuff like that. But yet, if you walk outside, it almost seems like people don't, Why is that? Why is that people have this opportunity to, ask who is God? Who am I? They see the suffering and the pleasure. Why do people not look more for this?
Kali Yuga.
Kali Yuga, yeah, okay. So Kali Yuga is this dark age that we're in. You can just shout it out. Belief that we are the center. Okay, so yeah, some people just don't think there's more than this, and that there's more than just themselves. We're seeing here that the real benefit of the human form of life is that we get to meet a devotee. That's really where the game changes. We're seeing that Maharaj Rahugana, he's offering his respectful obeisances that wherever these devotees walk on the earth, they're hidden in different guises. So, it's not something that we can detect materially. We can't look at someone. I mean, sometimes people would say, oh, this devotee is like glowing or something like that. They'd see Srila Prabhupada and a few devotees would count, they're like blinded by some light. But generally, we can't just see the purity of someone. We can't just look at devotees and be able to tell externally. And so because of this, often these royal dynasties are offending them. Why do royal dynasties offend these saintly persons in disguise? Any clue? How about Priya? You can just. They're puffed up, so they think that everything is material, like everything's on the material plane. So materially, as a king, I might be better than children. I might be better than young boys or young girls. They think that they're the cause of all causes. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, that's important. It's almost like they have a whole different system of values that don't transfer in the spiritual sense. If all you value is money, then there's not much money in spiritual life. I mean, you can try to like find some money, but often, religious life doesn't pay the bills so well. It's kind of doesn't transfer. How about Priya?
They become intoxicated by power, and so they don't like to think of a higher power than themselves.
Okay.
Like God is the all-powerful, so they just don't like to think about God because then they have to admit that they're not the most powerful.
Great point. Yeah, and so Marjarahugana, he's praying to the devotees, please forgive myself and the royal dynasties for always offending these great personalities. Let's go to the next verse. Can someone read the translation?
Srila Shukadev Goswami continued, My dear king, O son of Mother Uttara, there were some waves of dissatisfaction in the mind of Jad Bharat due to his being insulted by King Rahugana, who made him carry his palanquin. But Jad Bharat neglected this, and his heart again became calm and quiet like an ocean. Although King Rahugana had insulted him, he was a great Paramahamsa. Being a Vaishnava, he was naturally very kind-hearted, and therefore told the king about the constitutional position of the soul. He then forgot the insult, because King Rahugana pitifully begged pardon at his lotus feet. After this, he began to wander all over the earth, just as before.
All right, purport.
In Srimad Bhagavatam 3:25-21, Kapila Dev describes the symptoms of great personalities: Titikshava, Karunika, Surida, Sarvadehinam. A saintly devotee is certainly very tolerant. He is the friend of all living entities, and he does not want to create enemies within the world. A pure devotee has all the qualities of a sadhu. Jad Bharat is an example of this. Due to the material body, his senses were certainly agitated when he was insulted by King Rahugana, but later, due to the king's humble submission, Jad Bharat excused him. It is the duty of everyone desiring to return to Godhead to become submissive like King Rahugana and beg pardon of Vaishnavas one may have offended. Vaishnavas are generally very kind-hearted. Therefore, if one immediately submits himself at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, one is immediately cleared of offensive reactions. If one does not do so, the reactions will remain, and the results will not be very palatable.
Thank you. Yeah, so, has anyone ever felt this before? Where, like, someone offends you, someone hurts your feelings? It's kind of hard, right, to forgive. We're seeing this is the quality of the devotee. And it's interesting that we're seeing that Jad Bharat, he's, a saint. He's self-realized. But still, he feels these things, in a sense. Still, it's in his mind. It's saying, where is it? Yeah, waves of dissatisfaction in the mind. Very interesting. Sorry, lost my train of thought. But yeah, often, we're practicing bhakti, we're practicing spiritual life, and it's not like desires will go away. It's not like these feelings will go away. It's not like as soon as you start chanting Hare Krishna, then all of a sudden, your floating on a cloud and forgiving everyone. And still, we're going to have these impulses in our minds. Still, desires are going to come up. But what do? What did Jud Bharat do? He let it go. He neglected it. He didn't focus on it. I remember my mom, she teaches her grandkids, and there's this video about a pond and these fish. And so there's like a red fish, and there's like a blue fish, and the red fish is the angry fish, and the blue fish is whatever. And the video, it's for kids, so it's saying like, don't be the fish, be the pond. And my mom was like, wow, this is so self-realized, like on YouTube Kids. But it's actually pretty wise. Like these thoughts, these desires will come in, but we don't identify with them. We neglect them because they will pass in time. And instead we cling to our higher nature. What is our higher nature? We're the soul. We're a servant of Krishna. And we're trying to be devotees. So we say, how does a devotee act? This is how a devotee acts. Let me try to be that. And, the angry fish will, pass through the pond and he'll go out the other end and, okay, he's gone now. Yeah. We have maybe 2 more texts and then we can just go into, the happy fish, the sad fish, we don't get attached to the fish. We just stay the pond. It kind of sounds a little Buddhist, but it's wise nonetheless. Yeah, please read.
After receiving lessons from the great devotee Jud Bharat, King Rahugana of the state of Salvira became completely aware of the constitutional position of the soul. He thus gave up the bodily conception completely. My dear king, whoever takes shelter of the servant of the Lord is certainly glorified because he can without difficulty give up the bodily conception.
Okay.
King Parikshit then told Sukadev Goswami, my dear Lord, O great devotee sage, you are omniscient. You have very nicely described the position of the conditioned soul who is compared to a merchant in the forest. From these instructions, intelligent man can understand that the senses are like rogues and thieves in the forest, and one's wife and children are like jackals and other ferocious animals. However, it is not very easy for the unintelligent to understand the purport of the story, because it is difficult to extricate the exact meaning from the allegory. I therefore request your holiness to give the direct meaning.
Okay, so we're going to get more into this later. I just wanted to quickly read this. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 5th canto, 13th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Further Talks Between King Rahugana and Jud Bharat. Haribol. So this is kind of the warm-up for the next chapter, which is basically going to be the 3rd time this is explained. So first, Jud Bharat explains this to Maharaj Rahugana, and Maharaj Rahugana's like, what? He's like, wait, huh? What? I don't understand. So then Jud Bharat explains it again. And now, after explaining it again, Maharaj Parikshit is like, wait, what? What just happened? He says, you very nicely described the condition of the soul, but he ends by saying, it is difficult to extricate the exact meaning from the allegory. I therefore request your holiness to give the direct meaning. So sometimes, sometimes the philosophy can be a little dense, and it takes a few tries to hear it. And that's why often there's repetition in the scriptures. That's often why Srila Prabhupada would repeat, you are not the body. You are not the body. Not the body. You're a spirit soul. You're a servant of Krishna. Yeah, it's often we can't just hear it once. So, that was kind of our summary study of these texts with the theme of the devotees of Krishna. Any comments on this section or anything? Jackson?
I find it blissful to just be reminded of the service of the devotee. In my week here, that's something that's really opened up to me, of just serving the devotees of Krishna. And I feel that a very key point in everything we read was just service to the devotees, service to the devotees. And it's just beautiful.
Yeah, if we look at this last part. My dear king, whoever takes shelter of the servant of the Lord is certainly glorified, because he can without difficulty give up the bodily conception. So, yeah, we see that the more servants we put in between us and Krishna, the more glorified we actually become. Which is, it's crazy, you know. It's the exact opposite of the material world. In the material world, you want to be, you know, boss, anu boss, boss. But
it's like links on a chain. You know, like when you're serving the devotee, you're serving Prabhupada. And when you're praising Prabhupada, you're praising Krishna. And on, like, up and 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 up. It's just this like beautiful chain of service and devotion.
And the mercy, it compounds. It kind of snowballs. Because, you know, Krishna is so merciful, you know. But Krishna says, Sarvadharman pratija, abandon everything and just surrender unto me. And then we go a little further, and there's Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya, he's giving out pure love of God to everyone, but he's also, at the same time, he can be quite strict at some points in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He's actually very strict with some of his disciples.
It's like being a fish underwater. Like you could never visualize earth, like land above the water. And so in order to be able to worship that which you can't even possibly realize, you have to go one level up.
Yeah.
And then the next level up.
Yeah.
And the next level up.
Yeah. And then Srila Prabhupada, lastly, he was so merciful. He said, okay, just 16 rounds. Previously it was 64 rounds, things like that. Yeah, 32. I saw Prabhupada Priya, and then Cami, and then Raj. Yeah, on this point, yeah. Jackson, just
I was really appreciating your point, because I mean, one thing I was thinking about is, as devotees, we can really encourage others to take the lead, if they're wanting to, of course, you know. Sometimes we like to be the singer in kirtan or something, you know. But it's actually really nice when you encourage other people to, or so many different things. I want to give class, but if you can help somebody to get to the platform where they're able to give, you know, they're situated to give class, and then encourage them, you actually get more mercy if you're part of that, like, encouragement. So just thinking about how much in my life I, like, you know, I want to give class, or I want to sing in this stuff, but actually, if I was really wanted the mercy, I would try to help other people give class or sing or these things. I thought it was really interesting point.
Who can say whose mood that is? The mood of Srimati Radharani. She's the number one servant, but she's pushing everyone else towards Krishna. So she's setting the example in that way. Prabhupada Priya?
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I just wanted to share that I felt some waves of satisfaction hearing about how King Rahugana felt waves of dissatisfaction when he was insulted. Because, Jad Bharat. Because, I don't know, sometimes, you know, you read about how Krishna says that devotees should be equipoised and, you know, in honor, dishonor, praise and blame. So sometimes, you know, like when somebody says something to me that's a little, I don't know, disrespectful or inappropriate or insulting, then, you know, like I feel it. So when I feel that, I observe myself feeling it, and I think, oh, you're so, you know, attached to false ego, and, you know, you shouldn't be feeling this pain, you know, you shouldn't be feeling this twinge in the heart. But then Yeah, we're seeing here that it's natural. Like we're not stones, you know. So just like someone may know they're not the body, but when they stub their toe, it's still gonna hurt, you know. In the same way, we know we're not, you know, this mind. We know we're not this whatever identity. But when someone insults us, then it still hurts. But the difference is that how we respond to that pain, you know, how we. I think that's where the equipoise comes in, because actually if you didn't feel it, then it wouldn't be an issue at all. But the test is, how do you respond to that? And we're seeing a good example here from Judd Barrett. To just, you know, just let it go. You know, it's not a big deal.
On that, is that on that point?
On that,
Yeah. No.
just something small, because I wanted to talk about the same thing. His Holiness Bhakti Prabhava Maharaj, he said once, he's a sannyasi now. He's been practicing for so many years. People see him as like, you know, equipoise, like liberated soul. And he said, he's like, it's not that I don't get angry anymore, it's that I don't get angry for very long. It's like the anger comes, and like you said, he knows how to react to it. He sees it through the eyes of the scriptures, and then he's able to kind of dissolve it. But it's not that it doesn't come in the first place.
Yeah. Show it. Yeah. I was reading something very interesting in the third canto, like I think 2 years ago or so. And Varahadev, Lord Boar, he's fighting with Hiranyaksha, and Hiranyaksha says these really like mean words to Varahadev, and it says that it actually hurts Varahadev's feelings. It actually hurts Krishna's feelings. It said like it pierced his heart. And just reading that, I was like, it was really surprising. But a person can't be tolerant unless there's something to tolerate. And so Krishna, he's the most tolerant, but he's also the most sensitive. That's what makes his tolerance so great, is because Krishna is a very sensitive person. And, you know, his feelings do get hurt. When we leave the spiritual world, it does hurt his feelings. But that makes it all the more greater when he still is compassionate to us, when he still is compassionate to, that's what's so glorious. If there was no struggle, if there was no pain, then there wouldn't be all the glory, you know? There wouldn't be all the qualification. Tammy, you had something? Maybe hold it down.
Thank you, Trista, for a very, very nice class. That was very good. This is a personal realization. I received something in my WhatsApp yesterday from Keshava Swami's servant, and that's how he put it. I'm the servant of Keshava Swami. And because we live in the Western world and we have a weird thinking about that, my mind went, oh, that's kind of weird. But then I read this sentence right here, and all of a sudden I went, what an exalted position to be the servant of Keshava Swami, who is so obviously a servant of the Lord. And then I just realized, you know, it just went into context for me.
Guy, thank you for the nice realization. Anyone else? Any other thoughts on this? Oh, there's a mic right there, Mother Kunti.
Just one that even if you're not really sorry, like King Rahugana was very sorry, and he had heartfelt regret for what he had said and done. But, you know, but even if we're not sorry, we can pray to be sorry. So I've noticed that sometimes if you say you're sorry to someone or you apologize for a transgression, you may not be so sincere, but you can pray to be sincere. Oh.
Thank you. Great point. Yeah, it's hard to say sorry. Yeah, Prabhupada Priya?
Hare Krishna. Yeah, as we were reading this, I was actually pretty impressed with Maharaj Rahugana, because although he's a king and he's, you know, there on the palanquin, but he actually like immediately, he had the ability to recognize, oh, this, palanquin carrier who looks like a complete simpleton, he's actually a great personality. And just like how quickly he changed his tune, his heart changed. He was offering his obeisances and apologies and glorifying him. So that's not easy, for someone they think they're in a higher position, to recognize someone that they think is in a lower position as actually superior to them, and to immediately just get down off your high horse and offer obeisances to that person. That's like a big thing, so that's an example for all of us. And also he's kind of kicking himself for not having recognized Rahugana is kicking himself for not recognizing Jadbara as the great personality he is. And in that recognition, he's realizing that, wow, there may be so many other personalities who are great and, far superior than me, who don't appear to be, right? Like children, and he's saying young boys, and, like that. And he's like, I want to offer my obeisances to all of them. So that's also a lesson for us, that, we have these ideas that a great devotee must be, someone like this. They must be, old. They must have been practicing for decades. They must be whatever. We have our stereotypes about what a great devotee looks like externally. But there may be, Mahabhagavats who are children, or little girls, or women, or people who are actually new to Krishna consciousness, just started coming around the movement recently. But, we don't know what background they're coming from. So in that way, we should really be respectful to everyone, because you don't know.
And Nanda Braj, and then Jack.
Yeah, just I wanted to ask a question. I was thinking, this service sometimes, most of the time, it sounds distasteful. Like, oh, let me serve this person. So I'm wondering what the cure is. Like how do I start to get a taste for serving others? Like what is it? What does it take for for my heart to become soft, so that I feel like serving everyone?
That's a great question. Just my first thought is, just by doing it, you get a taste. I think, just like with service in general, you just go out of your comfort zone one time and you see, wow, that was actually really nice. I actually feel really good after doing that. And then you just, keep experimenting. Does anyone have any other thoughts? How we can learn to serve each other, Jackson? Mm-hmm. For those online, Jackson said that it's like being in the gym, and you have to find that sweet spot where the mind is saying, no more, no more, no more. And you just push it a little past that. And it, he said, cracks the ice. Thank you for that. Yeah, the uncomfortable zone. So it's 8:30. Any final thoughts? Any thoughts, Rajuda, on the topic?
Yes, I just feel like we were all just put here to be of service, even the highest level of servitude, being of service to our brothers.
All right, thank you. We should probably wrap up. Did you have anything short? Okay. Grantaraj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bo.
चैतन्य देवम् श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान् साधन ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Rama Rama,